Ultra Chill.
Welcome to Ultra Chill. This is episode number 7. We have a lot to talk about this episode since this is going to be the first time that our team has talked in depth about our NFT Standard. To that end, we're bringing on our co-CEOs, David Hansen and Nicolas to give us their vision and how it will impact Ultra.
All right. I think I'd like to start with some impactful current events with the news that Valve, the parent company of Steam, have decided that blockchain games, and especially those with NFTs as part of their gameplay, don't belong on their platform. What do you think about that, guys?
Oops.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, Valve is, I would say, they've been there for more than 15 years now, and they have a business model that's been built since those 15 years with a specific decent user base, of course, and business models. Their business model doesn't really match with blockchain technology at this stage. Basically, they take commission on every transaction happening on Steam and on the games present on Steam, meaning that if transactions occur on a blockchain, they're not able to take this commission. So they rather have their users playing games that generate money for them than games that generate nothing, because basically they lose twice. So that's a big problematic, big problems for them. And at the same time, they are not equipped either. They don't have a wallet dedicated for blockchain. They can't have MetaMask or Ethereum-based games as well. So all those problematics makes it, I guess, very complicated for them to be part of the adventure.
So I know that David and Ed have been talking with some of the affected publishers and developers. Maybe you guys want to talk a little bit about who you've been talking to and what their thoughts have been?
Yes, so we reached out to a few of them. Obviously, Joe first, because the debacle came, I think, with their interaction that obviously wasn't fair. Like, okay, you're out, then what's happening? We discussed with them. Amazing people, honestly. Really would want to support them as much as possible. And basically, we showed the platform, the ecosystem, how does it work, and I think it resonated pretty well. Reality as well is that we provide some functionalities that are simply not available even on Steam. But at the same time, we're also working on a macro level to discuss with other blockchain projects running blockchains to see how we can help them. Because right now it's very hard because there's not really a home for blockchain games. If you go on Steam, that's not an option anymore. If you go on Epic, you have basically to have the agreement of Epic saying, yes, I allow your game to be on the platform, which is that if you check how many games are on Epic, it shows that there is quite some level of curation. So we sort of become the de facto distribution platform for blockchain games because we already built the entire stack of technology to have like patching, versioning, the whole technology, with the different language, everything you can imagine. And it's hard for, I would say, other companies to start that now because it just took us 3 years plus. And the reality is, you need a solid blockchain foundation that is agnostic. So our distribution platform can also welcome some blockchain games that are not part of Ultra's blockchain, but still being able to be enjoyed on the distribution platform and using all the features I mentioned and be distributed. So that's really, I think, something key today. Thanks, team. We didn't ask so much, but sure. So that's really, I think, a lot of potential for Ultra because it also shows all the functionalities we have to all the blockchain game developers in a single shot, because now they can access it and they can see the power of the SDK and all the functionalities we have.
So basically, we've spent 3 years building out the necessary tech and infrastructure to deploy to the mainstream. Do you think that anybody else can catch up at this point? I mean, Steam and Valve, they're one industry player, but they're not the only ones that are out there.
It will take time for basically any company to catch up. Just understanding the limitations or the complexity related to blockchain technology will take a lot of time. There's an uncompressible time for the team to ramp up to these new models. It's a very different way of thinking at business and sales. And so typically what happens with even the development team, the way they structure stuff, is that they come with old concepts that don't apply to the blockchain industry, that should not be applied because it's just inefficient and unnecessary, or simply incompatible with the concepts of blockchain. So just having a team up to speed to this is going to take a lot of time.
So here with Ultra Reality that we started from scratch, as David mentioned, so we could craft exactly what we wanted to make this fully fledged solution, which is very hard for somebody existing that try to morph into a new solution, which is extremely complicated to do when you already have a business running, to heavily modify it to still be relevant in the future.
For somebody like Steam to transition to blockchain model, I mean, they have a working business with an existing user base, and it's going to be a very tremendous problem for them. So I think they really need to have and to see a successful company before they can actually speak to their user base and say, well, we want to do something similar, and have a discussion with them. But yeah, it's going to take time for them for sure.
Just to make sure that everybody who's listening is on the same page, we have our own NFT standard, which is deployed to our own network. David, maybe we can talk a little bit about the process, how you guys came to the decision to create your own standard instead of using something that was already out there. I think we can use that as a launching pad for a larger discussion about the thought process that you guys went through to convert the business use cases, which you identified, into an NFT standard, which you think is appropriate for launching towards the mainstream.
First, our blockchain is very different and works very differently than other blockchains. So we need to adapt our NFTs with these different paradigms. Namely, in Ethereum, you don't really pay for storage and such. You pay, it's part of your transaction fee. And on Ultra, you don't pay transaction fee. So in order to avoid the network to be spammed, what we do is that we charge per NFT for each piece of storage that we use on the blockchain. So blockchain has a massive amount of RAM, and that is shared among all the block producers. They all have like this same amount of RAM, and they basically have a replicated database of that's there. And when you create an NFT, you basically store a little bit of data on all of these block producers, and so you need to pay for that. And then the second thing is we want to comply with regulatory concerns, and also we need to provide more advanced functionalities than what exists today in NFTs. Current NFTs are more like a proof of concept than anything else. We need to bring it much further in order to really say to corporations, well, now you can use that for your massive business, so that we can provide an actual usable solution where IP holders can actually use that as a means of doing business and not have to worry about, my contract doesn't allow me to do this, but it allows me to do that. Well, our NFT can deal with, the classical and most problems they're going to face when they will want to do NFTs.
If you see like you're proposing something to your consumers, which are loving your brand for many years, and it's not working, it doesn't look good. So I think that sort of was also one of the pillars on which we were very careful about how we designed NFT in the blockchain, is making sure it's reliable. For example, the price of transactions, like the creation of those NFTs is fixed in fiat currencies because business works in fiat today, those corporates. So that's part of why would it be easier for them. But at the same time as well, the fact you don't have transaction fees means also that you can always run your business the same way. It's not going to increase. If it's like point something, and then tomorrow is $2, that's a big difference. It doesn't seem like today for the crypto community, because what's $2 for like an NFT that was 500,000? Sure, I don't care. If I have to wait like 5 minutes to get it, sure. But the traditional user, if he's supposed to receive something, he wants it now, and he don't want to have like purchasing something so they can have the right to receive it. Like, doesn't make sense for them. So that's really a lot of the things we are trying to tackle with Ultra as well, and NFTs.
I mean, the full solution is a combination between the NFT and the blockchain. So, for example, what Nicolas mentioned, okay, we price NFTs in dollars, but you still need to pay with UOS. Basically, what we do is we decorrelated the operation costs from the price of the US, but you still need US, but you don't need, but the amount of US you will need to pay for creating your NFT is going to depend on its value. So today you pay 1 US, tomorrow you pay 0.5 US, after tomorrow 0.1. But the value when you mint this thing, it's worth point something dollars. So that you, the business, okay, my business model works with this cost, and I can rely on that. And then from there, you can make plans that are not just for the next 5 months, but more for the next year, 2 year, 3 years ahead. And the same goes with transaction capacity of the blockchain. If the blockchain reaches max capacity because it's very successful, or there's a launch of something, and your business relies on the blockchain, and suddenly your transaction cannot be executed instantly, what do you do? And so our solution allow you to, with US, buy ultra power, which give you priority then over the network. So if your business is very important, just buy US, lock them down, and then your smart contracts will get priority over other smart contracts if the network reaches max capacity. So it's really like it's a full solution. It's not just the NFT standard, but it's also the transport layer that handles this corporate grade solution.
I guess this speaks to like the foundational technology that's been built over the last couple of years, including the Oracle, which you talked about without, really talking about, and the mainnet, which was launched with free transactions and all of that stuff. It was all built with a purpose, like it's with targeted business goals. And when you guys designed the NFT standard, I guess it was like the beginning of last year, token factories were really one of the core features. And they're really different than NFT standards as we know them, on Ethereum or on Solana, where you have a contract which mints a single token, and that's the NFT. But on Ultra, it works a little differently. And David, you've been the mastermind behind all of this. Maybe you'd like to explain what your baby does?
Sure. So with Ultra, we actually have what we call like a token factory concept, and above that we have a token factory dispenser. So the way it works is, you, the developer, you decide how your NFT wants to work. Is it tradable? Are there restriction on when it can be traded, or who can trade it, or is there a commission fee when it's resold, and all of these things. And you define that through like a token factory definition, and it's a little JSON file. So it's a config. You talk to the blockchain and you say, I want you to set up a token factory with these parameters. And then the blockchain is creating you a token factory that is going to will be defined by the config that you gave. And then this token factory is capable of generating then NFTs of that particular type. So if you set, okay, there's maximum 100 NFTs, well, the token factory will be on the blockchain. The NFTs are not minted yet, but this token factory is able to mint 100 tokens. Nothing more. Once it's published, you can't change the parameters. It's immutable. And then from there, you can call this thing and you can say, hey, mint me one and give it to the user X. And this request could be based on a payment. So you could say, okay, give me 100 US and I will give you one of such NFTs. And it can be a smart contract separately that calls the token factory and says, hey, create an NFT, send it to that user. And so there are many advantages of having something like that. First, it's very easy for developers because suddenly they're not publishing smart contracts anymore. They're really publishing a configuration of what they want. They don't need to understand how the smart contract works. And people who use this NFT, they don't need to trust the developer of that NFT. They need to trust an impartial entity, which in this case is Ultra, that develops this NFT technology. So from there, you just create your NFT, and suddenly I don't need to be afraid that the guy made some modification to the standard and actually he's capable of, recalling the NFT without you knowing, or destroying the NFT in some way, whatever it is. Here it's like it's an impartial entity that developed this thing, and so you can from there you can start using it in many different ways, in games, in collectibles, in applications, and so on. And so once you publish your token factory, the second thing you will do is you can publish metadata that is associated to this token factory. So there's a part of data that you don't need to store on the blockchain, such as images and description of the NFT, information of website and so on. And all of these take a lot of space, and so nobody stored them on the blockchain.
When you have an NFT that's generated by a token factory, the token factory itself is the one that has the metadata, right? So where is the metadata?
Okay, so we have an agnostic approach to where the metadata is stored. Ultra will store metadata, but you can store it on IPFS, you can store it on any third-party service and link your metadata file to the token factory. So by default, token factories that are published on Ultra, we will store them. But you, the creator of this NFT, you can say, well, this same metadata is also stored here, here, and here, and here. Just in case somebody disappears, the metadata is still there.
So as we deploy more features, the NFT standard evolves and grows. Like conceptually, it evolves and grows because a business evolves and grows, right? And on Ethereum, traditionally, that's been particularly difficult to do because on Ethereum, once you deploy a contract, that's it. The contract is deployed. And one of the benefits of EOSIO is that smart contracts themselves can be upgraded. Now, you don't want to be a developer that's trying to hit a moving target. And that's something that we've talked a lot about internally. David, before you and I were talking about this, how the NFT standard will have versions that you can target. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that?
So new functionality can be added to the NFT standard. And every time we add a new version, it will be backward compatible with the previous version. So for example, today you have an NFT, maybe it has a limitation on how long you can trade it, maybe. And then tomorrow there's a new version that will allow you to limit it to who you can trade it with. Well, if this is a new ability that when you mint the NFT, you can activate this new ability to this new NFT. But if you use the previous function of the previous version, it will still work the same way. So that means that while it evolves, all previous functionality work exactly the same way, and new ones are added on top. So if you have an application and we publish a new version, we're not basically affecting your app, but you can, if you want, you can implement the new functionalities of the new version, and then start creating new NFTs with these new abilities, and have your app supporting these functionalities. So basically, we build it with backwards compatibility in mind.
In general, we have a prioritization concept within Ultra that ensures that we fulfill our platform's needs first, and we expand the scope outwards from there. And what you guys have been talking about is the outwards from there. It's new functionality that isn't available right now. We have the basic stuff that we need. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about what's coming down the pipe. Like, what's going to be new? What's coming?
There's the auction system that's coming, which will allow people to set NFTs for sale and start bidding on them. And it's taking care of tons of rules, rights, and conditions. We also make use of our Oracle for this, so that if you have a kid in Japan that only knows what yen means, that he can price his NFT in yen. So you're going to say, oh, I want 10,000 yen for this NFT. Well, okay, you're going to get 10,000 worth of US, 10,000 yen worth of US when this thing happens. And then the German guy can say, I want 10 euro, and automatically, regardless of where people are, the pricing is then set in UOS, but will depending on what the seller decided. So that's something, like, again, to bring more usability for the general purpose user. So that's one thing. Then there's the burning functionality also that's coming. So every time you mint an NFT, you're paying for the RAM of the storage of this NFT. This amount of UOS will be stored inside this particular NFT. So when you burn it, you get it back. Basically. And there's a split between the owner of the NFT and the creator of the NFT.
Yeah, which would increase the scarcity also of the early NFTs. If some people, they're just burning it, thinking, that's fine. The price of US increased a lot. I'm just gonna burn it, which means all the others increase in value because there are less of them. So that's a fun mechanism that is really tied also to even deeper rooted with US. I would say one thing as well we can describe is we will have also the RNG, the random generation numbers available, meaning that today on the NFT marketplace 23s, you don't have yet the boosters, for example, that you cannot buy and have a chance to get this or that. These are parts of the technology that we are developing that will be core to the protocol as well. That will also bring many more use cases. Obviously, for the games industry, it's important. We know it, but it's a matter of priority. And RNG will be then one of the next upgrades to what we are working on.
Yeah, I think random number generation is a big topic, and today everybody kind of like uses their own system, and you need and with external smart contracts, and you basically need to trust them every time. So ideally, you should go open their smart contract. How does it work? Is there a backdoor that allow them to point out to mint a super rare item? And this is an actual problem that will be solved by the structure of Token Factory, where instead of having the developer say and control, oh, put this value in it, they're just going to decide, give a NFT with a parameter between 1 and 10, and then the blockchain is going to decide that number for you. So there's no way of them cheating, and there's no need for users to every time go look at the source code of each smart contract. They just need to look at the Ultra, protocol level NFT service, and it's the same for everybody. So there's a higher trust component that's going to come out of this.
That's
Well,
something that works directly, for game developers, for like NFT creators. They don't need to think how to make it. It's always, how am I going to do that? Okay, let's look on internet and find how to do it. It's already part of the system, and that's the case for most of the functionalities within Ultra. We want to offer a solution which is easy to use for the developers as well. They don't need to understand blockchain, and that's part of the value proposition here.
because NFTs can be considered a developer tool, I think it would be interesting to go over how the SDK integrates them and how to tackle some of the confusion around what non-NFT digital assets are.
Totally. So again, one of the key points for Ultra is to be seamless for users, but also for developers. So as a developer, once you're using our SDK, you have all the tools you need. So you don't want to install two SDK or an additional SDK just for NFTs. You really want one integrated solution. So we provide, lobby making, matchmaking, leaderboard, all the different functionality that you want to use for your game without developing them, which is great. But we also offer the NFT aspect as part of the solution. So once you decide, okay, I want to create a virtual item once I'm killing a mob in the game, for example, and then something drops. It can be a sword of, I don't know, water, which is just a virtual item on a database. And you can have a sword of fire, which is the NFT version of it. But the game will interpret them the same way. We just give different stats, different skins, but technically the game read them the same way, which means for the game left, they don't have to worry about anything blockchain related. They just have to tweak the parameters in the SDK. And then based on that, they're going to be using NFT on our database item. And that's all. That's all they need to know.
So I gathered a lot of questions from the community. I asked them earlier this week, what do they want to know about our NFT solution? Will we be able to randomly get very rare NFTs at any moment while staking, playing, watching streams, or ads? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so that's a topic that's been discussed, I think, a lot of time. What can Ultra do? How can it be play to earn, or participate to the ecosystem and earn? It's the case across the entire ecosystem, but also in the physical world. So the idea is whatever action you do, it can be tied to receiving NFTs in a random way, for example. So you can have really a lot of different applications, whether they are like in a retail store, whether they are like when you play a tournament and you have a chance to get something while you're playing this tournament, or if you're watching a stream, you have a chance to get something. That's really the philosophy around Ultra. It's whatever you would do, there is a chance that something really cool happened to you, which is getting the super rare NFT, right? And so that's something that is very appealing. In terms of marketing, it's super appealing for our partners, whether it's for the game developers, same story. So this is like both user acquisition solution as well as like brand awareness as well as revenue generation tool. So yes, long story short, yes.
The next question I'm pretty excited about, and David, I think you're also pretty excited about this one. Modding and NFTs, something possible or not?
Yeah, that's a very cool topic to me. I think user-generated content and NFTs is a match made in heaven. You can, and this is something that a lot of structural decisions that we made, including on the NFT, including on the protocol, but also including in the Ultra Games itself and what we call the Game Developer Center, which is the back office where game developers publish their game and set up, their game store page and, productize their games into NFTs and all of that. We've designed it with mods in mind. So imagine you have a game, let's say Minecraft. Okay, Minecraft has mods, or Skyrim. They have mods. You can you the developer can say, well, you know, you can publish your mod, maybe a texture, maybe it's a complete new game, maybe new game rules, maybe new maps. You can publish your content through this special tool of ours on our website. Like you make a zip, upload, whatever the method is. And when you do that, we're creating we're setting up a token factory for you, and you control it. So you can call this and say, hey, create an NFT and give it to a user. And this NFT will represent your mod, meaning if you own it, if there's a file linked to this, the owner can activate this in the game. And this can be all part of a very smooth user interface that would be the same for all the games. Like you go in the game, you say, I want this, I have this NFT. You want to activate it? Yes, no, yes, yes, yes. And then you launch the game and boom, you would have the mod that goes with it. And so this opens like tons of new possibilities. Like the creators can actually sell these NFTs. And they can transfer them. They can make them very rare. Like I can make a mod, but like it's a skin, but there's only 5. Or now I look like a bear in GDA, but there's only 10, and they can auction it, they can sell it. There's also cross marketing possible. Two developers working together. Hey, in Skyrim you can be the guy from Far Cry. We the possibilities are really endless, and the fact that the developer kind of can participate to this, they can actually start deploying more capital in enabling mod creation. Like, for example, okay, my game doesn't have mod support, but maybe if I spend some capital making that possible, I can have the community start creating content, and then I can recoup some of the mod development, because I can decide I want 20% from all the sales of mods. And so it becomes really a shared economy. Like the developer makes some money, it can maintain the mod capability, and then the creators have incentive to create content because there's money to be made. You will have creators or influencers or their friends of influencers that are going to create content related to them, or even products, and that are going to be seen in games. And everybody's happy because everybody's making money, and has access to some very rare stuff. So it's also a way for you to engage with your community. Even for the developer, like they could be creating their own content, which they can then distribute like in a live stream or something, and it's a mod, and you activate it when you launch the game and you get the content.
I have to say, out of all the stuff that we talked about tonight, that was the most exciting. What would be the process to develop an app on the Ultra ecosystem? There's a lot of people out there. They're really talented developers. They want to be part of what you guys are building. How do they get in touch?
Yeah, so we just launched our on ultra.io website. So if you're a blockchain developer, if you want to create NFTs and so on, just go on the website, reach out to us. So there's multiple ways we can start. So the classical way, which is, you can deploy your own smart contracts on our blockchain. They are EOS.io based smart contracts. So they are written in C++. Anything you make for EOS, or you made already for EOS.io based chains like EOS or Wax or Telos works on our blockchain. So what you need really is a blockchain account on which you can deploy your smart contract. And then you need a wallet that you can use to sign transactions. Now, right now you can do it with your own wallet or with Kleos and the classical EOS.io development stack. And in the coming months, we will be opening our app ecosystem to third-party developers, so that you don't need to worry about your blockchain wallet and how the keys are secured and all of that. this will be all part of the same experience. So you will be able to publish your dApp in Ultra, and then anybody will be able to click on buttons and assign transactions out of that. But in the meantime, what you can do is just reach out to us, and then we will guide you to help you publish your first smart contracts and application or NFTs.
So let's say there's X game on Ultra, but it's also on a competing platform. Will there be cross-platform multiplayer? Because it would mean that Ultra players will be able to buy and sell NFTs on that game, but not on the other platform. Is that really fair?
That's an interesting question. Fair, yes, you always have the choice. You can go wherever you want as a player. No, the reality is, if you're a game developer and you want to make your game, with our SDK, you can have visual items that would be totally fine on a database, and that would be available on Steam, for example. You can use, without any efforts, just make a part of them NFTs, and that would be running on our platform, on Ultra, meaning that if you're a player and you want to play the same game, you have the choice. Or you go on Steam, you play it, you buy it, you play it. Or you go on Ultra, you buy it, you play it, but you also have a chance to earn NFTs. So yeah, I mean, choice is complicated, I guess, for a player. But otherwise, if your choice is on the same game but being able to earn at the same time, there's not much work involved for the developer. It's roughly just thinking, okay, this one is a digital asset on blockchain, or it's a digital asset on a database, and that's all.
Thanks to all the Ultra fans out there. We're always excited about bringing you more news, insider info, and in-depth details about what we're building, why we're building it, and how we believe that it will shape the future of gaming and digital assets. Make sure to subscribe and share this episode wide and far. See you next time, and keep it ultra chill.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Ultra